shine, shine your light. Shine, shine, shine your light. Shine, shine. Hello, I'm Nancy Maddox with Shine Your Light Radio Ministry on WYTV7 in Charlotte. I'm broadcasting from Little Rock, Arkansas, and we have a very special guest today from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm so excited for this gentleman to share his story and his testimony with us. I think you're going to really enjoy it. He's a newly published author, and let me just introduce him real quick. His name is Andre King. I call him Dre. I don't know why, but maybe he'll share that with us. And he is a poet and a life coach and an outreach minister and a chef and a published author. The name of his book is The Realms of Love, and it is a book about poetry. And I've been reading up on you, Mr. King, and I've also read a lot of your book. So we have a lot to discuss today. So if it's okay with you, we'll get started. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, first of all, I'd like for you to share a little bit, Mr. King, about your testimony, where you were, where you got, what happened to you, what brought you to where you are now, and how God restored you and redeemed you.
Well, it's going to take more than 30 minutes. God just been an awesome wonder in my life. Started, I guess, when I was little with sexual abuse in the household, and coming up with a stepdad and stepbrothers. I really felt like Cinderella, where the favor was on them, his own children. And I guess growing up in South Memphis, one of the roughest parts of Memphis, going to an all African-American school, I got picked on for being, I guess, this light colored. Because I was different. And as a child, you're pure, you don't understand a lot of things. And to get picked on at school and come home and get roughed up by your dad, it was like no-win situation. So I guess growing up, I became that rebel. I was always adorable, passed around by everybody, but never had that parent, go-to guy. You need to do this and need to do this and need to do this, so I wasn't set up for my future. So I think when I went into the Navy, I got kicked out after a year for not being able to, listen to authority, because I had that battle all my life. And then coming home, getting into gang activity. And my stepdad tried to teach me a lesson, by me doing that type of life, that he didn't want any parts of it. So I guess the 3 years incarcerated actually didn't wake me up, but it woke me up to God. I really understood God, because in that testimony, I was robbing some banks at the time because it's quick money, and really couldn't get a job, getting kicked out the military. So this friend said, "Hey, I'm finna get put out of my house," and I felt like I owed him. So what I did, well, let me go back and put you right there. We was coming from the movie Colors. It was a gang movie, and we were 7 deep in the car. And actually, they were shooting at my little brothers, and I got out to, take care of the guy, kick his door down, and he was shooting at me. He was only 3 feet away, and I froze, and I seen the bullets come out the gun, and I'm like, wow. So the guy came up named Anthony and took his hand over over my chest, and he got shot in the hand, and his hand was right where my heart was, and he drugged me down the steps so I couldn't get shot. And after that is when he lost his job and finna lose his house. So I said, "I owe you." Not knowing that God, that came in my maturity later. But I put the gun in my hand the last time and went to jail. And that was an eye-opener for me, though. I was supposed to have 200 years, but my grandma prayed me through. My mama prayed me through, and they ran all the 10 years consecutive. And I did 30%, which was 3 years on that 10 years. And that was an eye-opener, because the whole time I'm thinking I owed this individual, which God had an angel there. So after that, was homeless for a year. And I always knew I had the writing in me, because I wanted to stay fair when I was 12 years old. But I never had anybody behind me to push me, depending on what, the skills I had. So I was just lost, I felt like. And I think after the first marriage lasted 2 years, she passed of heart failure. Then I jumped into another marriage of 17 years, but that's when I really got into the church and had a very bad divorce because I messed up again, not really understanding love. So that's why I really actually wrote this book, The Realms of Love. So I had to go in and define it. Because even though you say you're married, people don't understand, that commitment that, you making a commitment to God. Back in the olden days in the Bible, they just had sex and they was considered married. But now we go through the protocol of the paperwork, but it's more in depth than that. And it's more than just counseling. I think marriages now, even in Christian marriages, end up 60-70% in divorce. So this book just hit me all of a sudden the last couple of years. I needed some healing because I found out when I was getting into relationships after that 17 years, which is a long time, I didn't want to mess up another female. So my thing was, I needed God to heal me.
Wow, Mr. King. Well, you have sure aroused my attention. I have lots of questions to ask you.
Okay, sure.
I want to elaborate a little bit on this because it's such a classical example of what happens, and it's even happening now with our youth. I also worry a lot about bullying for my grandchildren. They have, of course, they have what, the real light white hair. We call them towheads when I was little, and they have the white hair. And I oftentimes wonder if they're going to get bullied because they are so fair and because they have white hair. And of course, it's attractive little thing, but kids don't understand that. So I do understand that about bullying, and I worry about that. I was bullied when I was in school because of my personality and all. But anyway, your story is just so classical. And I love to hear stories like that. As I was reading through your stuff, I saw that you said you were talking about your mother and your grandmother, which are both deceased. And you said your only wish would be that they could see the blessed, humble man that you've become. And I'm here to tell you right now that they do see that. They're looking down on you from heaven, and they do see that. Although you can't physically touch them, you've made them very, very proud. And I just thought that was a very profound statement that you had, that you wanted to be sure your mother and your grandmother, who you just mentioned, really must have been a real guide in your life and a real help in your life, that you said you wanted to make sure they understood how humbled you were. Also, you said your poetry is a direct reflection from your ability to share pure emotions and feelings from the heart, spirit, and soul. Can you elaborate a little bit about that? Because I know when I read your book, you had all different kind of poems in there. And they were very, very good, by the way. And I understand you have another book in the works. But I'd just like to know a little bit more about you sharing your pure emotions and your feelings.
I think that a lot of men, for some reason, don't want to show their sensitive side. And I think once you realize that you are a man, you shouldn't worry about what other people think. And like, cuddling with your wife or being able to listen. And I read a lot of books and self-help books, and Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus stands out to understand that a woman don't want you to always fix the situation, but they want you to just listen and consult, and just sit there and just console them, So that took a while. But in my early years, I never knew what love was. And when I went to the Bible to search it, God really mandated for men to love their wives as Christ loved the church. But he never did that for females, because females automatically growing up playing house, they have that love, I think, in them. And we playing cowboys and Indians and being competitive, never knew or can say what love is. I could say not all men, but maybe 95% of men, unless you have a nurturing mother or whatever in the house. And a lot, especially African-American, don't have both, parent figures there. So I think that I just wanted to open up sensitive and emotional in my book to let her know that a man can show emotion and show love, and that's what I felt like I tried to do with this poetry book.
And it really does come out in your work. You also said in the bio that I read that you met with death several times. How did that happen? And God, you said God had given you life. So what is that about?
I think once you go through a lot of abuse, I also did a study on serial killers. And I found out that almost all of them had a problem in their childhood. You know, if you do any kind of psychological study. So seeing that it just builds up and builds up without a release, sooner or later you just go, you know, berserk. And seeing that, I just think that I used to do Russian roulette. I was very suicidal. I did even in gang activity. I used to run up to 6 or 7 guys to prove myself. Because when you are belittled as a young person, you get tired of it. And when you've been in 1,000 fights like I have, and most of them has been jumped on by 3 guys or 4 guys or 5 guys, I guess eventually you get, you know, used to those beatings or used to those whippings. My dad used to beat me with switches. He used to plat 5 or 6 switches up till there wasn't a crumb left. And eventually when I got older, those switches didn't bother me anymore. You know, it's like I looked for pain. I wanted pain, you know, and I knew that wasn't right. So I was just very suicidal. I would do anything for the first time, even if I knew it was going to take my life.
My goodness, you really have been through a lot, and you're just such a shining example of how our God protects us, especially the children, and helps us through that. You also have children yourself. Can you tell us a little about, you've got 3 girls, right, that I read?
Yes.
And I'd like for you to share a little bit about the joy that your children bring you.
My girls are my world. I was there from day one. I was that soccer dad, you know, because I was in and out of work for being an ex-felon and can't find work. So my wife had steady work at the time. So I did everything I took them shopping, whatever they needed. I registered them in school. So I tried to fill the void. I wasn't that man that, even though I wasn't the breadwinner, that sat there and played video games or just laid on the couch watching sports. And now I don't even watch sports because 2 or 3 hours I could be better off in my Bible or doing something productive or helping somebody. So I'm not knocking Xbox or PlayStation, but sitting there 6, 7 hours, it's a lot of things you be doing, and you only live once. So my girls has just been there for me, and even through the time, good and bad, they just make me want to be here forever, you know. So it's just I can't express in my heart how I feel about my daughters.
Well, I can tell they're near and dear to you by some of the things that I read, even in your book. But I think it's just, I think it's commendable that you took the route that you took after everything that's happened to you. And I'm sure you tried to be a father to your children, unlike your father or your stepfather was to you. And that really it makes a difference in people's lives. So our children do need us. Also, you talked a little bit about the lessons that you learned from all of the women that came through your life. So you've been married 3 times. And how long have you been married to your recent wife?
Actually, this June the 4th will be 1 year anniversary. We're going to Orlando. And she has been, you know, breathtaking. She has actually opened up everything. Just been a rock for me. When I say, you don't hear this a lot, soulmate or my rib, she has brought that back into existence, those words. So it just had me getting back, reading a lot of books on how to be a better, you know, husband, you know, that I won't mess up, that we communicate more, you know. And I learned from the past, but I try not to bring that into this one because it's a new person. And a lot of people mess up by doing that, you know, comparing, because 17 years is a long time, and it's going to automatically, being stubborn, set some standards to where you got to weigh up certain things. But I just try to say this new, she don't have anything to do with that. You know, we starting off new. I haven't been married before, and that's how I look at it, you know, with her.
Well, I think that's a beautiful, beautiful love story, and you're such a romantic, as I can tell by your poems that you've written. Um, let's talk a little bit about the realms of love, your book, and what exactly what brought that about. Did you write poems while you were incarcerated, or did you wait till you got out, and then these poems just started flowing through, or how did that happen?
Well, actually, when I was incarcerated, I read over 200 books because where I was at, it was so overcrowded. We couldn't do what the regular prisons do, um, like go out on the rock or play ball or recreation and none of that. We in the cell 24/7, and we barely get out for 1 hour a day. So I have nothing to do, no TV or nothing, just but to read. So I probably read westerns, I mean spirituals, every type of book you could think of. I read it. I read it. I read it. And so the poetry didn't come to about 2 years ago. Me saying, okay, I think I'm clean. I'm going out by myself. I'm a year celibate, and I'm going to the movies by myself. I'm out and I'm smiling and I'm enjoying myself, and women will come up and it would feel good for me to turn them down, because being a player I was in the day, I didn't believe in it, so I just thought a man's supposed to be a dog. But, it just brought me how to be more into chivalry and looking that up and being a gentleman again. Because I think we in a time where that word is dead. So I want to be that light and be that salt to where, okay, he's a gentleman. He's opening the door still. I open the door for 10 minutes. I don't care who coming through the door, no matter where we at. And, so I hope people can catch on, okay, and say, okay, and I just want to set some kind of standard, bring it back into style or whatever, as you may.
Oh, that's just fantastic. Once again, if you're just joining us, I'm Nancy Maddox. We have a special guest, Andre Dre King. He's a published author. We're talking about his book and The Realms of Love, and he's a spectacular testimony that he shared with us. We're on WYTV7 out of Charlotte, and I'm in Little Rock, and Mr. King is in Memphis. So now we're going to get into a little bit more about the poems in the book. I picked out one that I wanted to talk about a little bit, and maybe you can kind of enlighten us on it. It's called Jail Cell, and I'm just going to read like maybe the first little phrase of it. It says, "Sometimes the devil allows individuals to pace and wander this earth in the physical, to live a life free of trouble, on point as a true ritual. High on life, counting huge residuals, thinking their soul is untouchable, but always in his vision. The Satan's plan, he doesn't want them turning to God, the original. Their wickedness is like a jail cell, a den of life criminal. The cell is so elegant and enchanting beyond livable. Sin doesn't seem a requirement to leave, just typical. The door is always open, is always wide open, pure evil and cynical. 7 deadly sins, sexual immorality, and everything else biblical." So can you kind of enlighten us a little bit about what you meant to do with this particular poem? And I only read half of it because we only have, a short amount of time. So kind of share with us what this poem means, the depth of it.
Oh, well, I guess while I was sitting in jail, it had me an opportunity to think, now it's too late. You know what I'm saying? So usually when God's get our attention, we on the ground and can't go no further. We can't, nobody else in our family want to help. It's like we done turned our last stone. And it's like, and I think everybody, I just want to do a wake-up call because so many people out here doing evil, doing dirt, and say, okay, I can do it one more time like that dope dealer. I'm going to save enough money and get out the game. But you might get caught up. It's too late. So I always found out, and I used to tell my pastor friend, he was also upset because his church wasn't growing. And he's a wonderful preacher. And he's probably got 50 members now. And he's been in it for 6-7 years. And I said, have you ever seen a mega holy church? Have you ever seen a mega holy church? And he said, I have never seen one. So the devil allow, I feel like, people, if you already going to hell, why would he mess with you? Why would he bother you and you already hell bound? You know, so I think that's what I was trying to reach with this poem, to wake people up, because fish don't come out the water already clean. You got to go through and I talked to so many people witnessing, and they was like, well, I got to stop smoking first. I got to stop drinking first. And then you're hearing about people 20, 30, 40, not even waking up from stroke, heart attack, you know, diabetes, things of this nature. And you don't know when is our time. You know, airplanes falling out the sky. I mean, car accidents, school shootings. You know, you don't know when it's your turn, but are you prepared? So I think that's my message. Not to be that true evangelist with a hellfire and brimstone message, but it's a wake-up call, you know, and I just try to show it in my light without beating people with the Bible. And I learned that the hard way, because when I first got into the Bible, I was real zealous and I was beating everybody up. But now I have to learn it's with love and kindness have I drawn it. So, and that's the method that I use right now. I just let them, I don't have to say a word. I just be on work on time. I always got a smile on my face. I'm a big giver. And then they're going to eventually ask me, what church you go to? And that's what I want without telling them, you know. So that's what I'm working towards.
Yes, sir. Wow. Well, I'm just so excited to hear your story, and I'm so excited for your book to take off and start selling. I'm hoping that this interview will help you promote it. We will be posting the video on YouTube, so we can use it for a lot of marketing and promotion. Once again, we're on WYTV7 in Charlotte, and I'm in Little Rock, and Mr. King is in Memphis. So can you share a few words of encouragement? You're also an outreach minister, like you were just saying. So kind of share a few words of encouragement for the audience that's dialed in and for the ones that will be listening to it, of really what you would advise. I mean, so many young people are just taking the wrong path, just as all of us have done things in our youth that maybe made us go the wrong way. But not only that, once they're incarcerated, they need hope too. They need to hear from people like you so they have hope, hope, and know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So anyway, if you'll give us a few words of encouragement for everyone that's listening, I would appreciate that, sir.
Yes, no problem. I just want to say, you know, we all bleed red. It don't matter what color you are. We all go through things and circumstances. I'm not the only person that was abused physically, mentally, sexually, whatever, or been locked up or been homeless. I mean, it's all ages, all genders, all nationalities. I just, to hold on in there, your hope, your lifeline is on the way. And all I want to say is to you guys, you know, I messed up when I was 20 years old, and it still affects me in my job. So I'm not going to say it's easy. I will be lying to you. But I hold on to scriptures in the Bible that say in Revelation that whatever door God opened can no man shut. And I'm going to tell you right now, it might not have been the job that I wanted, but I kept a job all my life. And to be, to almost be incarcerated with 200 years, think about that, 200 years. And to say that I'm still working with almost, I can't tell you the number of people that's out of work. But it's just working through the Bible and using scriptures that fit your lifestyle. You know, it's in there for hope. It's in there for healing. And I just want you to hold on, everybody out there and young guys. I'm going to tell you, I couldn't even vote. I just had my voting rights restored. Every year for the last 20 years, I've been putting in to vote. And being African-American, I couldn't even vote for the first Black African-American president. And that was a milestone for history, you know, and not saying that I would have voted for him, but it's just the point that I couldn't vote and that I couldn't get bonded. And I have 3 degrees and 4 trades. So I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. You got to put in the work. But when I got out of jail and I had to go to that parole bond, I was on parole for 7 years. I worked at McDonald's and Burger King's, and I caught the bus and rode a bike and depending on my mom to take me to work. And I was 22, 23 years old. Still staying at home after I was homeless. And the first woman came along, I married her. It was wrong. But I just want to say that it's a God out there. That's an awesome God that will lead you in the right direction if you just pray. And all you have to do is just ask him to lead you and order your footsteps, and he will be there. And I can say that for a true believer right now, that he has opened so many doors and blessed me with girls and a new wife that understand me. And I mean, doors is opening, like me meeting you. I mean, you are awesome, Nancy. So you have been in my corner ever since. And, you know, so and every day, the job I got, $17 an hour, you know, in Memphis, that's a lot, you know. And I was working $12 an hour flipping burgers for 20 years. And, you know, just have to be patient, I think. And that's why your fruits, long suffering, and all those come into place. So, I mean, I help.
Wow.
My book, yeah. My email out there, you can reach out to me. Dre Logic on Facebook is my poetry page. You can hit me up. I can pray with you, whatever. Get a copy of the book, The Realms of Love. I know y'all posted. Where they can get a copy is on Amazon. So I believe God is just doing a lot of things. And I got another book, poetry book, that's going to be raw, radical, and real. I'm dealing with real life situations in that book.
Wow, that's so exciting. So tell us one more time, Mr. King, how we can reach out to you. Give us your email address, because you just offered a huge audience to give you a call or connect with you on Facebook, and you will help with them and pray with them. I love that. I think it's absolutely fantastic. That's that outreach minister coming out in you. But give us your email address one more time so people can get it down.
The email is actually my initials, Andre Dwayne King, which is A as in Apple, D as in David, K as in King, 43@hotmail.com. ADK43@hotmail.com.
And what was the Facebook page again? Dre Logic?
Dre Logic, because I'm kicking knowledge out there to open people's minds up. So it's just, it's a mental thing for me, you know. So, you know, I just want to open people's mind on how to get more, you know, contact with the higher source, God. You know, so many people turning away now, you know, for activist reasons or whatever mental reasons. But I just want to let them know that he's true, he's real. Jesus is our lifeline, you know. So.
Well, you're absolutely right. And we're working one by one to turn people around and to get them back to Christ, get them back to loving God. And, you know, it all starts with love. And also, there's one more little thing. We only have a few minutes left, so there's one more little thing I wanted to talk about. You're also a chef. You said you're a chef too, so I guess you're a trained chef. So can you elaborate on that for about 1 minute?
Yes, I love cooking. Actually, the only job I could get getting out of being incarcerated was restaurants. So I went to school and pursued it. And, you know, I found out that a lot of men don't like cooking. So, you know, I wish I was around my grandma when she was cooking a lot and my mom cooked a lot. You know, they was the fist behind. You know, I guess that's why they passed so early. You know, our family, you know, just try to pray for us. But I just got into cooking, and my wife, she loves to cook. So we opened a catering service, and I do ice sculptures and food sculptures and watermelon sculptures, you know. So I'm just real good with my hands. If I can see it one time, I can replicate it.
My goodness, you're just an awesome human being. You're wonderful. Everything you can do, and all in God's name too. Have you considered writing a cookbook?
I have asking my wife to do that because I want to get into children books to help them, you know, the things I went through at bullying and everything. And then I'm going to do a minister memoirs book coming, 3 and 4 editions of that, dealing with me coming up with my bio. So, yeah, I have a lot of writing on the board.
Well, I'm so excited. Again, if you're just joining us or you're just listening, this has just been an awesome testimony. I'm so excited to be associated with Andre Dre King, published author. The Realms of Love is his first book. He's coming out with a second poetry book, and it sounds like there's a lot more books in you, which really excites me. I just love the way that you love to help people. That's how I am. I open my heart up to people, and I love people. But anyway, I thank you so much for joining us today. And everyone listen up and go find Mr. King on Facebook. And be sure and email him if you have any questions. And his book can be purchased at Amazon or at Barnes and Nobles. So either one. So please go and look up his book. You will be delighted. It will really give you a lift. So I thank you so much, Mr. King, again, and for everything that you've shared with us today. You're absolutely wonderful and a beautiful person. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shine, shine, shine your light. Shine, shine, shine your light. Shine, shine.